So let me judge you. What are you, a white light guy or colorful lights?
I like to mix them depending on where they are. So like I put colored lights strung straight across my entire the gutters along my house.
Oh, you hang them from the tree? You hang your colored lights from the tree?
I do colored lights on the tree.
I bet you do.
Always do colored lights.
Yeah.
You motherfucking you son of a bitch.
Where's your America t-shirt, by the way?
Son of a bitch. You asshole.
In a world of bad movies, two follically challenged men will stop at nothing to share their opinions of them. Their wives are tired of listening. But are you? This isn't the podcast you deserve, but it's the one you need. Prepare yourself for Bald Guys and Bad Movies.
Welcome to episode 35 of Bald Guys and Bad Movies. I am Troy, here with my buddy
Mike
Stella. Hark the Stella angels sing. Glory to the bald-headed king.
That's right. Fucking hell yeah, I like your version better.
Well, we're not officially in the Christmas season, but by the time you guys hear this...
Well, my Christmas lights are up already, so I'm in the Christmas season, yo.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I put mine up, before Thanksgiving, because I was just, I was taking down some Halloween decorations that I had to pull the ladder out for, and I was like, fuck it. Let's just go ahead and start putting the decorations up now. And it turned out pretty good. I bought a few extra things this time, so all the cables are perfectly run. It just looks super clean this year. So
didn't Chevy Chase it? You had it all sorted out.
I wish, man. Always, there's always a fucking kink.
You know, Christmas lights are like the loser nerd kid on the playground of light bulbs.
Old Christmas lights are that way. New Christmas lights don't do that shit.
Let's fucking talk about this fucking movie.
Yeah, let's talk about this movie.
Jesus Christ.
What are we reviewing?
This week, Mike, we are reviewing A Christmas Story Christmas.
Oof. That's all I'm saying. I gotta say, oof. It was, there was, yeah.
Would you recommend this movie?
Not really.
Okay, wait. Let me give a synopsis. A Christmas Story Christmas is a 2022 American Christmas comedy directed by Clay Cadis from a script he co-wrote with Nick Shank. Whatever. From an original story co-written by Shank and Peter Billingsley. It is a legacy sequel to A Christmas Story from 1983. And serves as the 8th movie and 9th overall installment overall in the Parker family saga franchise.
Whoa, really?
9 fucking movies, dude?
I know
of a couple, but 9?
I know A Christmas Story, A Summer Story. They did A Christmas Story 2 a while back, but I never saw it.
Well, 9th time the charm.
Definitely not. That would be a no.
So would you recommend this movie, Mike? That's a negative for you?
I don't know, man. It was pretty bad. I mean, look, there's only so many Christmas movies you can watch, right? If you get to the end of your rope and you don't want to watch Home Alone for the 9th time this season because your kid's like, I want to watch Home Alone. We already seen that. Okay, how about Home Alone 2? I'm like, we already seen that one. You know what I mean? If you really want to watch something new, I would say, sure, throw it on. Low expectations. It is not good. It is not good.
I would, for me, the other B word comes to mind.
Bad.
Bland.
It
just felt... Look, okay, we'll get into the review. But do I recommend it? It almost feels like you gotta watch it because the original is so good, is so well regarded. There's a curiosity factor.
Yeah, sure.
But it's not a
It's not good.
It's not fun. It's not.
No.
The best part of it, and I won't spoil it right now, is the ending.
Yeah.
And that's the best part of it. It feels like the whole movie is just a nice setup for the really nice and sweet ending.
There were some parts that I was like, this is, I like this. You know what I mean? Like, I like the idea of doing this. You know what I mean? Like, but the movie itself was just so bad and boring. And
well,
I wonder why they didn't get the original actress for the mom.
I think she retired like
but I mean,
several years ago. And I don't know, she might have some medical stuff going on. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Because she had a very specific, I mean, I don't think she was easily replaceable.
I would love to have had her back. Like that was the one thing I was disappointed about, especially considering she's alive. She worked up until like 2010, 2008 or something.
Yeah. She's been in some classics, man. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Mm-hmm. Harry and the Hendersons.
Hell yeah.
She's a different caliber of, no disrespect to Julie Haggerty, but I think Melinda Dillon brings a little bit more ballistic acting prowess to it.
Well, I mean, it's just it's a different character too.
And her voice was so distinct.
So distinct and iconic. Yeah. And she is the mom.
Yeah.
She is the mom. You've seen this movie 100 times, right? And so to change, like, Flick, like, you could have gotten a different actor for any of his friends and no one would have given a shit.
Right.
The only person you had to keep the same, in my opinion, or get someone who looked a lot like him, was the bully. The mom not being the same mom was just super disappointing to me.
She was the heart. She was the adult heart of the first film. So,
oh my God. Like, you loved her. Mommy's little piggy. Like, you know, like, I love that scene where after she makes him, you know, wash his mouth out with soap and she like sits down on the toilet and like puts the soap in her mouth and like sits there for a second. Like, I'm a shitty mom.
Right. I'll say this. For me, the biggest issue as I was sitting there watching the film, there's no magic, and it's because it's told from an adult Ralphie perspective.
Yeah.
A Christmas Story, the original, what made it so special? It is through the eyes of a little boy who sometimes approaches things like a businessman, right?
Right.
Very seriously trying to get that BB gun. And that's what makes it magical. That's what makes it resonate. The grown-up Ralphie is just a different type of movie. And it's just not, it doesn't capture that magic. It's a curiosity. Like I was curious to see Peter Billingsley. You know, for a second I thought, where's Randy? Did he die in Vietnam? My son was like, I think he died in Vietnam, Dad. Like, oh no, they wouldn't do that. I hope not. The clock's ticking. Like, where's Randy?
Would have been the Korean War, right?
No, it was 73, I believe the calendar said.
Oh, okay.
So that's enough time to die in Vietnam. Sure. But thankfully he didn't die in Vietnam. So
yeah,
I think if you want to have fun, you want to laugh, you want to enjoy yourself, this ain't the movie.
No.
This movie is based purely on your fandom for the first movie. And if you are at all just curious from a curiosity standpoint of what an adult Ralphie's up to, there's probably like one funny moment. I watched the interview with Peter Billingsley. This is a misfire. The little girl, she is so fucking adorable. In the interview, she is
she's great.
Goddamn adorable. Should have been for her point of view. Like, I don't know why they missed the point of what endeared people to this movie. Ralphie can be present, but at the end of the day, A Christmas Story.
Pass the torch.
Yes.
Pass the torch.
And that little girl could have fucking did it, dude.
That shit would have been so good.
There wasn't enough of her. But I'll
tell you the problem with that is, right, you're not writing for that little girl actress, right? You're thinking you're writing it from his perspective. It's not until after the fact you see, oh, this girl's so good. Like, what are we going to do? Rewrite the whole movie? Like 3 weeks before before we start principal photography? What their idea should have been was passing the torch initially and then finding a little girl.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, it going through an adult Ralphie is just not, there's no magic there.
There isn't. It was really flat.
He's fucking hanging out in a bar. He's hanging out in Schwartz's bar or Flicks.
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
There's where's the sweetness to that?
Yeah, totally.
And I guess we're going into spoilers now. So if you don't know about it now, we wouldn't recommend it if you want to have a good time. But if you're curious, why not? Okay, let's get into it. So I think they were so concerned with the tone, right? And even Peter Billingsley said in interviews, there are certain points that he didn't want to make it just a complete like redo, but they analyzed the movie and there's certain moments that they could do that would tie it directly, like him imagining shit.
Yeah.
Which I felt
it was bad.
I mean,
dude,
at least he's a writer, so that kind of gives a little bit of. But it's not magical though.
But I will say, every time we go into one of those fucking flights of fancy that he has, it gets worse. Like, those are some of the worst parts of the movie, in my opinion. I felt like it was really
the
bad.
last one was kind of funny though.
Which one was it? What was the last one?
When his daughter got
her eyes all
eye was
fucked
kind of
up,
crooked,
and
she was
jail
pregnant. And
that shit. That was a really good one, dude. Her eye looked so good in that scene. I was like, that is fucked up. Like, it said she's pregnant and fucking shit.
And I think the reason that worked is because it was slightly edgy.
Yeah.
Everything had a very neutral, safe tone. And I think they were trying to hit that sentimental tone of the original. Yeah. But the original had was kind of raunchy. Darren McGavin, who played the dad, was sorely missed. Yeah. Because he's so nice, right? Yeah. And Darren McGavin brought that gruffness. Fragile with the disembodied stripper leg lampshade and cursing.
But no, I'll tell you what he brought was he brought the feeling of a real father.
Yeah.
He was my dad. Mm-hmm. Like, absolutely adoring father who loves his children. But
can be scary.
But can be scary as shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when Ralphie says fudge, but I didn't say fudge. I said the word, When that happens, like, he comes into the car and he was like, do you know what your son just said? And then the mom shriek afterwards. And when he's angry about the boiler downstairs, and like, just whenever, like, he would get upset and it just felt real. Where did you learn that word? He's like, even though I heard it, 10 times a day from my dad. Yeah, all I could think of was Schwartz. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God. And it was there was just so many great little moments in the original that this just didn't have.
But that's a good example of, I know he said he didn't want to rely on that, but the car radiator was basically a stand-in for the house furnace. Yeah. Constantly breaking down, and like, you don't see, if you just presented it from a little girl's point of view, Ralphie's little girl, you don't have to get bogged down in that shit. Yeah. What's important to a little girl? What is this situation, her grandpa dying? Right. Which is what this is the catalyst, right? Yeah. His dad dies off screen. And Ralphie gets the call, and he has to go. And I thought it was kind of weird that Randy didn't show up until the very end. Even though he's off at India or whatever. But
I will say, the whole talking to Santa and like figuring out, like, and then the star comment, like star or angel, and he picks star. Like, like I'm saying, there were a couple moments where I was like, that worked out pretty well. And that was pretty good,
and it worked because it's the little girl.
Yeah,
it's her grilling Santa.
Exactly.
right? Anytime you cut the adult Ralphie, the magic just flies. Any adult, right?
Well, yeah, but I will say you could have, if you wanted to make it about her and her trying to actually, him trying to get something for her, right? You could have him trying to find the Easy Bake Oven and he can't find it. You know what I mean? Something along the lines of that. But
And Schwartz knows a guy, and they meet in a shady alley to get this.
But I guess the problem with that is, again, we're getting away from the girl, and the whole thing with the original was it was all Ralphie, except for some very quick little conversations between the mother and the father when Ralphie wasn't around.
It was a child's
or
perspective.
Quick little things that would happen with just like the mother like putting the soap in her mouth, right? That scene, or the
dad
and the father
stealing a little
talking
piece
about
of
like
turkey,
yeah,
and running
or
off. Or
at the end when she's like, "You got him it? You got him the BB gun?" He's like, "I had one when I was 3 years younger than him.
Right,
It's fine." Like there's these very small moments that Ralphie isn't in, but I think the movie would have still been better if they would have just had those small moments with Ralphie instead of having Ralphie having to push the whole fucking movie forward.
imagine how great it would have been, because we've gotten Ralphie's story,
Right.
Now the narration is from the adult daughter. She's telling this story of this
Absolutely.
one Christmas that started off.
That's what it should be.
Started off sad, but ended on
Hell
a happy
yeah.
note, right? I mean, she wouldn't say that up front, but like it's the most memorable Christmas, right? And we go through that, and we know Ralphie as a little boy, and we learn who he is as a man through her, a child's eyes. That's how we discover Ralphie. And then she could be the inspiration. You can still have the storyline, him, the whole thing of him not getting, because he's a writer and he wants to get published, he can't get published. And as a child, it's scary when your parents, or you see a parent suffering, or, there's something going on and some of the concepts are too big. But,
Yeah.
We could interpret that from a child's point of view. And then maybe it's her that gives him the inspiration at the end, right? Of what he should write about. Instead of the mom. It's the mom that says, just be yourself, right?
Right.
That you could have kept so many elements, but make it magical.
It'd have been the same. It would have had so much more magic in it,
And then how awesome would that be? It's from a little girl's perspective. You got a little boy, rough and tumble, wants a BB gun. Maybe a little girl, like you said, Easy Bake Oven, or this doll that her classmates have, or they'll get, or you know what I mean? Like there's so much you can do from a little girl's perspective. And that would have freshened it up, and it would have been nice, because then Ralphie's a secondary character.
Yep.
And that's fine.
I think it would have been better having Ralphie as a secondary character, because then, like I said earlier, we're passing the baton to the next kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we're keeping the magic. That is what made that first movie magical. That's why we still relate to it, because we remember the time when magic existed. There was a Santa.
And that's why TNT can get away with playing it 24 hours a day on Christmas Eve. You know what I mean? Like, there's the reason.
And then the movie can be sweet and earnest. It's from a child's point of view. And, like the original, there could be some edgy stuff in there.
Hell yeah.
But the whole thing with him going to the bar, I did like his little lie he made up. What was it? They didn't have an angel for the tree.
Right.
They only had a star. She said, "Oh, no." Now imagine that narration with her realizing the angel's not there.
Right.
And then, so it's just from her perspective. There's so much funny shit you could have wrote. But
absolutely.
But it was kind of funny. Well, that was an okay moment when he on the spot thought of a lie. But then it's sneaking Flick's bar. Is it Flick, right? Who owned the bar?
I don't remember. I mean, it was hard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It was forgettable.
Flick and Schwartz. It's a callback to the tongue thing on the pole, and I dare double dog, triple dog dare you, dude. That's so lame and lazy. Like, no adult would do it. And maybe they would. Maybe adult would do it, but we've already done that.
Well, he also said he'd wipe his bar tab clean. So I mean, like, that's,
I guess. Magical bar tabs. I was so disappointed. I think Robin, when we finished, was like, I liked it. And I just remained quiet.
What's she gonna say when she listens to this episode?
She probably said, you didn't like it? I know.
That's so good.
Because I don't want to get accused of, because this is what I get sometimes. Well, I'm not analyzing like you are. I'm like, I'm not analyzing.
I'm not analyzing it. I'm just saying I didn't like it.
My enjoyment meter was at 1.
Exactly.
And maybe raised to 2 slightly.
Towards the end, 2.5 if we're lucky.
Now, the end, and I was thinking, oh, it would be nice if they did that, and they did it.
Oh, right. Brought back.
So the end of the movie, basically, Ralphie, throughout the movie, he's trying to figure out how to write an obituary. Magical shit for Christmas.
Right.
And look, I don't mind that they're dealing with death and loss.
No, not at all.
But I would like to see that from a child's perspective. Right from a grown-ass man's perspective.
I feel like, you could figure out a way to kind of bring it all in together. You know what I mean? But
of course.
But for the majority of the movie, it should be from her perspective.
So at the very end, with his mom, don't write what you think people want you to write or what you think he would want you to write. Just write what you feel.
Yeah, just write about your father.
And what he wrote is basically the first movie. The story.
Yeah.
And it caught on, and the publisher loved it, and then he's getting calls to have...
They want to see what else that he's written.
What else?
The book that he's tried to sell for the last year.
Was that part of it? Did they want the...
Yeah, they
what else you got?
What else do you have?
Got it,
Yeah. How did you feel? Because this is actually a part that I kind of liked. How did you feel about the bully coming back in? Schwartz coming, or whatever his name is, coming into...
I thought it was kind of nice.
I really liked it. I actually really liked seeing him, and I don't know. I that was actually one of the few parts that I really kind of enjoyed.
Now, just to put my writer hat on really quick, and to share that moment, what if instead of Ralphie breaking into Flick's bar, there's some kind of... Because the two bullies that are bullying his kids are, I think Schwartz is it's what's the bully's name? Fucking Scott Ferguson.
No, Scott Ferguson.
Wait,
no.
Scott. No. What's the bully?
It's Scott Ferguson. It sounds familiar.
Scott Farkas.
But
what it wouldn't have been nice if for some reason the cop that shows up for the disturbance, and it was him, and he has a sit down to talk to her about bullies. And, and how they, he used to be one. Like, how sweet would that have been? Like, telling Ralphie's little girl about how to deal with the bully and, and consoling her while Ralphie's there. And there's this history between these two men that we know about, obviously. We don't even have to go into the details of that whole scene that they had, right? I don't want to hear Ralphie's thoughts. Like, let us fill in the blanks of what's going on between those two in that moment, because there is history. I mean, there'll be some dialogue, right?
Well, we don't need to hear his thoughts.
That's what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is that anyone who has lived through being a child, like, knows his thoughts in that situation. You know what I mean? Like, you can imagine what he's thinking in that moment. And you know that it's all going to turn... you know that he's not going to take him to the police station. You know that he's taking him home. Like, I knew the moment that I was like, oh, well, he's going to be okay. 'Cause this guy grew up. And, but I will say, I did think it was kind of funny when he taps his badge. He's like, see, I grew up to be one of the good guys.
He is still a strange looking motherfucker, dude.
Yeah, totally.
None of that shit evened out. Well, did you have any favorite parts?
Well, I think my favorite part was the same as yours, the end. Like, I really enjoyed the whole idea of him writing and everyone really loving it, and I really enjoyed... But I think I did enjoy that part, But what I enjoyed more was actually the stuff with the bully being the cop. Like I felt for that moment, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I mean, it was a nice moment. Heartfelt.
Yeah.
But by that point in the movie, I'm like, okay.
I did kind of like the fact that he like got all the Christmas shopping done, and I was like, man, that just like it was kind of satisfying to me because I just know like trying to get Christmas shopping done is such a hassle, you know, like when it all gets done, you're just like, yes, he got it all done. That's fucking awesome. And like everyone's like cheering for him in the restaurant or wherever the hell they are. And then it all gets fucking stolen when they go to the I was like, oh, that fucking hurt, man.
See, this is the thing. They go through some shit, but everything felt like it felt like a bland dish, right?
Yeah.
Like his kid broke his arm, his wife slipped on the porch, hurt her leg. He hit his daughter and I in a snowball. But they all felt like in a different comedy. Like you said, it was a National Lampoon's Vacation.
Right.
Like that would have been played up a lot bigger and more larger or campier. I don't know. Like,
but I will say when he beans her in the fucking face with the snowball, I was like, oh shit.
And I keep harping on it. Now imagine that moment with her narration.
Oh my God. That shit would be too good.
Oh my God. He put my eye out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like there's a callback, right? It's just sad. It's taken all these years and it feels like completely unnecessary. Like it didn't add anything except for the very end. I don't think this will be played on loop for anyone.
No. This is gonna be forgotten super fast.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be as forgettable as Christmas Story 2, A Summer Story, you know, any of those.
What was the worst part? You have a worst part?
The beginning, like I just thought it was a super, I don't know, it was just boring from the beginning. Like,
I also felt it was Peter Billingsley doing the narration, right?
Yeah.
I felt like he was trying too hard to imitate Gene Shepard, the original writer. Everything's very magical and this and that. But it doesn't work if you're a fucking adult.
If you're an adult, exactly.
You just sound like a douchebag speaking.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, it only sounds that way. It only works doing it that way because it's the nostalgia from that time.
Right.
And when you're that young, everything still feels magical. Once you're an adult, everything's shit. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been more realistic. Like, oh, my fucking dad died. Jesus.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Fucking brother's not even here yet.
Ugh, I got this shitty-ass fucking radiator that just died. You don't know how many eggs I put in this goddamn thing. I swear to God. Fuck my life.
So that's a daring move. You hit something there, Mike. The thing to save is Ralphie, right?
Yeah,
your father.
Keep it as Ralphie,
he's
but
jaded
now he's become his dad.
Exactly.
Right? And he's fucking grumpy about shit and annoyed because I'm sorry, but Ralphie just isn't, he's not going to continue with that fucking feeling. And you know what I don't know.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah. Like if you made him jaded and annoyed and a little short-tempered and blowing up at his family a little bit and then feeling bad and then making a, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's a different dynamic, but because you want to keep it from Ralphie's perspective, you got to do the narration in a way that is believable for an adult to be talking in the past tense about a holiday that he's, Christmas in the past.
It's Polar Express, right? He can't hear the bell.
Never seen it.
Never seen Polar Express?
No, I couldn't get past the dead eyes.
Oh, Logan loved that movie. He was a kid. Every holiday
I could not get past the, the Uncanny Valley? Is that what they call it in fucking Rescue Rangers? The Uncanny Valley of animation.
I wish they would. It would be worth it for some, like Polar Express, to redo it, but with like traditional animation. Might be awesome. The end of Polar Express used to make me tear up.
Well, don't tell me. I don't want to. Don't tell me the end.
I'm gonna tell you the fucking end because it's been out for goddamn 20 years, dude.
I don't give a shit.
So
I don't give a shit.
the kid goes to Christmas land, the North Pole, and he asks for a gift. He can't hear the bells because he stopped. It's about a kid who's not believing in Santa anymore.
Okay.
He's basically Noah. And the Polar Express shows up and picks up kids. Shenanigans happens, and at the end, he can't hear the bells. And then Santa, like, creeps up behind him. Not creep, but you know what I mean. I was like, hey.
And rings his fucking bell.
Yeah, exactly. The end. He stomps him. But he gives him a gift. He gives him a bell as a gift. And he shakes it, and he can hear this bell. So the magic. He can hear the magic. So long story short, he comes back home that night, and he's like, his robe, there's a rip in it. He's lost the bell. But then he wakes up next morning, Santa's giving gifts, and one of the boxes is the bell. But his parents, he's shaking the bell, and they're like, oh, that bell's broken. They can't hear it because they no longer believe. And you got to see it, but it used to make me tear up, especially on watching with my kid. But Ralphie can't hear the bell. That's my point. He can't hear the bell. He needs to hear the bell again. He needs to find the joy again.
Yeah.
Him being a savior for everyone, he needs to be saved.
Yeah.
Like the entire family needs to be saved. And on top of his bad luck, his fucking dad dies.
Yeah.
And what a shitty Christmas. So it's the little girl through her belief in the magic in her.
Could you imagine what those little flights of fancy would be like if he was just a grumpy ass, like jaded motherfucker telling these things? It would be so fucking funny, dude.
Yes,
like,
that's what they should have done.
It would have been so good, dude. Oh my God.
Look, I would still have it from the girl's perspective, but that could be one of those things that we get maybe once,
right?
Like as a funny, like, oh, Ralphie still daydreams, but he daydreams as an adult.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe he's at a strip bar and like the fragile leg steps in the frame, right?
That would be pretty funny. That would be pretty funny, dude. Oh my God.
And like a throwback, he's reached up to touch it like he did in the original, and then he snaps awake.
You know what he should do is he goes to the bar one night because something fucking really bad happens, and he gets shit-faced, and he has like he basically like has a dream, like passes out and has a dream about that, and it's like it's actually the lamp like stripping in front of him. And
the bouncer grabs him to throw him out. He's dressed in the bunny suit.
Yeah. No, it's like a CG version of him as a kid, like dressed in the bunny suit. Like it's him as a kid.
At the bar.
Yeah, dude, that would be too fucking good.
Why didn't he think of clever things like this? Look, and I'm not saying we're clever, but how do you fuck up so bad?
Well, you got two directions, right? One can go more, and I would say it's the better direction because everyone who's truly, there's tons of people who are connected with this movie who are adults from their 80s down to their 20s, right? So that's a way bigger demographic than the kids, you know, the few, you know, up to 12, 13-year-old kids, right? Because once you hit 14, you don't give a fuck about this shit. You know what I mean? You want to go off and play with your friends or do shit with your friends and get into trouble and do other shit. So that's why I would say doing it the other direction with Ralphie being an adult, being jaded, being annoyed, shit being bad, and then him being saved is the better direction. That's why I would argue that way. But then the other side is if you want to make it a kid-friendly family movie, that's when you go the daughter direction.
No, I think you could do both. What you?
Oh, have them both happening at the same time. You have dual fucking narrators. Dual narrators.
Possibly,
could you imagine that?
Possibly.
Holy shit, that would be phenomenal. But you'd really have to toe that line. You'd really have to like fucking razor's edge that shit between too fucking edgy and not edgy enough. But dude, that would be dope. That would have been fucking dope.
Here's the thing. Instead of forcing him to have these fantasies as like a child, like you just said, normal adult fantasies.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, don't show a nipple. Don't say the F word. Or maybe people are saying F word, but it's fudge.
Yeah.
or whatever,
that
right?
would be fucking amazing. The fudge are you thinking? Yeah, get the fudge out of here.
And then he snaps out. It was like, oh my God, I'm around my mother for 5 minutes and already I'm censoring myself.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, that would have been so funny, man.
That would have been clever.
So good. That would have been so good.
And you're completely right, because you have two audiences you're serving. You have the people that grew up with that fucking movie, they hold it near and dear, and then you have the next generation. How do you cross the bridge between the two? And that's part of the story. Like Ralphie reconnecting with his family, and
a lot of jokes that go over kids' heads, I think. You'd have to have a lot of jokes that just go over kids' heads. You know what I mean? Intertwined with jokes that are hitting those kids. So
it would have been worth figuring out. That would have been, I'd rather have that sink my teeth into as opposed to bland. Just unsalted, just
well, I mean, that just goes back to, I feel like I don't know the background, but I'll tell you the truth, like this doesn't feel like something that was in production for too long.
Yeah.
Like in pre-production. It doesn't seem like something that was in conception for too long. Like it doesn't feel fully baked, Or if it was fully baked, it didn't have a showrunner who had the clout to really push it that direction.
Well, the script is lazy.
Yeah.
It's lifeless and lazy.
It's boring and lazy. I couldn't agree more.
It reminded me, as I was watching it, believe it or not, I thought about Kingdom, the Crystal Skull.
Oh.
Because how do you...
Which one's worse? Probably Crystal Skull.
How do you not know? You guys made Indiana Jones, and years later, you forgot what made Indiana Jones good, right? I mean, maybe that's a reach, but I had the same feeling of like surprise. Because with Peter Billingsley involved and him, and I saw, like I said, I saw like an interview with him, a couple of interviews. He seems to really care about this franchise, and there's been attempts to bring him back into it. But it's like the right script just didn't come along.
And this was the right script?
This was the right script? Dude.
Maybe it read better than it played, dude. That's one thing. It's hard to tell from a script whether or not something is actually going to be good.
Well, my biggest note is the perspective.
Yeah.
That's in the fucking DNA right there. And I like the idea of having the dual narrators, but I will start first with her. Make her story work, her narration work, then find out how we can weave this in.
You give this another 6 months of just writers fucking with it. People who, like, good writers, like, trying to figure this shit out and not working within any sort of constraints of this is what has to happen. It has to be from his perspective. It has to be this. It has to be a family-friendly movie. You know what I mean? Like that's when people start self-censoring, and we've talked about this at work, right? Mm-hmm. Like you start trying to do it within the box of what someone wants. You lose sight of the final, outcome, and you end up with a much worse product than you would have if you had gone to the end of what you could possibly think doing with this idea, and then working yourself back to the sweet spot. Like, it's a balance, right? Like, you get too far and you're going to fall, it's going to fall over that way. You know what I mean? You're going to fall off the edge. But if you work yourself back to right on the edge where you're seesawing, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be so flat to where you're not about to fall off the edge, but you don't want to be falling off the edge. You want to be right on the edge of what is going to make that the best possible product.
They were trying to photocopy a feeling and emotion.
Yeah, and you can't do that.
And to your point, do you know how many fucking talented writers? This is the other problem. Peter Billingsley, I mean, I don't know what he's written before, but you think Judd Apatow didn't grow up with this fucking movie?
Oh, everyone grew up with this movie.
Yes, everyone.
Everyone did.
You have a laundry list of people that would probably fall over their faces to go. And I say Judd Apatow.
They want money. Those motherfuckers want money. Yeah. Like they ain't like.
Well, don't fucking do it. Then don't fucking do it. Either come up with a really good story, because just because you started at Peter Billingsley, and I know you've been in Hollywood, doesn't necessarily mean you're the right guy to write it. You can be involved.
Yeah, I mean, like, he isn't really. I mean, what else has he really done, though?
He's a producer mainly.
Okay,
I mean,
of what?
Co-producer of Elf, co-producer Zathor, executive producer of Iron Man.
Executive producer on Iron Man?
Yeah, he's in the industry, dude. Like, he's a working professional. He's really good friends with Vince Vaughn. They team up a lot. Vince Vaughn co-produced this movie. Like, they're really close friends.
No shit.
And they work together quite a bit. So his involvement in that capacity, I have no issue with. I only have an issue with him being involved in the script. But it clearly lacks someone with a fresh take, imagination, a little bit of daring, and comedy chops, right? To thread the needle and make this work. And I guess you're right. If you want to cheap it out, go for a cheap buck. But what good they built? They rebuilt that fucking street. Yeah. If you're gonna
the street, they rebuilt the street.
Yes, several houses, not just the house. If you're gonna do all that, then throw some money to the fucking script. If that was indeed an issue.
So I mean, what else can we say about this? I mean, this movie was kind of a disappointment. It was sad to watch it and feel so like, this is boring. One thing I will say, at least towards the end, I got a little bit more into it, a little bit, like, but the beginning was just boring and bad, and I just didn't give a shit. And I might have turned it off if we weren't doing the podcast, to tell you the truth.
I was feeling sad in real time that this wasn't working. You know what I mean? Like, and
you wanted it to work.
Yes, I wanted it to be good. And honestly, the narration threw me from the very beginning. And this time we're going to. You're a grown ass man. What are you doing? And that's for me. That set the tone. Everything was off.
Yep,
it was just bad choices after bad choices. So it's unfortunate. I'm sure some people out there will like it. My wife liked it.
Yeah, like your wife.
Well, her.
You were right there. You were right there. Sorry, Robin.
Her list of things to check off was maybe 3 deep. Ralphie, Peter Billingsley, check. Flick, Schwartz, check. All right, I'm good.
Oh, man.
Bonus, the bully's back. We both agree the key to the first one working is from a child's perspective for the most part.
Now, do you think you would know that? I might not have known that until I saw this movie.
What?
That Ralphie couldn't have been the main narrator.
What do you mean?
I don't know if I would have known that Ralphie being the narrator wasn't going to work until I saw the movie.
I think I would have known. I
think you would have too.
I'm not calling myself a genius, but
no. But I think you would have too. But I do think I would have been smart enough to listen to you in that instance.
But that's where the lazy comes in.
Right.
Well, people love Ralphie, so let's hear Ralphie's thoughts when he's an adult and he's trying to save his family's Christmas. That's another type of movie.
Yeah.
Put Vince Vaughn in that movie. If you replace Ralphie, if you replace the name, the Christmas Story, whatever, the movie would still work as a disembodied movie.
Yeah.
And that's not right.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be so easily to replace characters and it still functions as is.
I'd have to agree.
It should feel special. Like the first movie. And again, when they made the first movie, it was a flop. It didn't do well at the box office over time. But it took Gene Shepard, and this is what Peter Billingsley said, like maybe 12 years or so. It took him a long time to get it made. And it was personal to the guy. right? He gave a shit. He cared about it. It was a labor of love, and it shows. He was making that movie for one fucking person, himself. This is probably, I'm not sure if those were his experiences, real life experiences, but it feels like it. It feels, I mean, probably some creative liberties taken, but it feels so very true and earnest without being sappy and sentimental. That's the balancing act. Santa kicks the kid down the slide. Kicks him in the face, basically. Ho, ho, ho. And that is life. Did you watch the end credits where they did the side-by-side comparison photos?
Yeah.
And that's kind of indicative of the problem, too. I'm so happy that they found the right framing and moments. But why do we give a shit about that? I mean, that's nice. That would have been fine if you delivered a really good movie, right? But all that attention and time spent on those details that are ultimately meaningless in the grand scheme of the story, you could have been focused on making a really good movie, writing a really good script. How about just do your own thing, man? Like, how about Ralphie shows up at the store and, like everything in life, the store's completely changed.
Yeah.
Or it's not even there anymore.
Yeah.
And they have to go to a more modern store. And you could still deal with a Santa, but it's a different setup. And maybe Ralphie just lost his dad. And maybe he's like, fuck, nothing's the same. And look, I'm not saying make it a depressing movie, but you could farm some really fresh, inventive ideas if you just don't handcuff yourself to what you think people want to see. Don't photocopy an emotion. So, look, a little bit of nostalgia is fine.
Sure.
You can't get around it. But 90% of the movie should be new and fresh. What do you want to rate this?
It's a 2.
2.
2 eggs in a broken radiator. Which makes no fucking sense.
Does that work, Mike? I didn't get a chance to look it up. But
I have no idea.
I, too, I'll give it two pregnant future daughter lazy eyes out of 5.
Yes. Fucking hell yeah.
You know what? Kids are like freshly fallen snow, and adults are the pea stained snow.
The yellow snow.
The snow that's been there for a good 2 weeks. It's got like debris and leaves and
a couple dogs have shit in it. It's like a little sunken.
Yeah, is that a dead squirrel's tail? I don't know.
Exactly.